All right, friends, welcome back to our online study in Mark. And today we're in part of chapter 10. And I want to highlight something from the very beginning of it, and then we'll look at this famous story about a wealthy young man and pull some stuff out of it that I see here that's helpful to me, hopefully will be helpful to you also. They were bringing children to him, to Jesus, that he might touch them, and the disciples rebuked them. So people want their kids to meet Jesus. That's what they want. The disciples didn't like this. When Jesus saw it, he was indignant, not towards the kids, but towards the disciples, and said to them, "Let the children come to me." That's famous. That ends up on posters and things like that. "Do not hinder them, for to such belong the kingdom of God." Key statement here, "Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child shall not enter it." Kingdom of God, that's God's presence here on earth. If you don't receive that like a child, it's like there's something about like a childlike mentality that helps you to enter into experiencing the fullness of God right now. Childlike doesn't mean childish. It doesn't mean immature. What does it mean to be childlike? I think you can look at a lot of things. I think part of it's the openness to wonder. I think that's part of it. Some of us get so locked in the idea that all there is what we can see, taste, touch, smell, and hear. A child has a more open-minded view of the world. I think there's something to that. I think more than anything, though, it's what does Jesus call God? Calls him Father. Now, Jesus, of course, is God himself. He's God the Son. But when he's praying, he's talking to the Father. So to enter into the fullness of God's presence here, to step towards that, we like Jesus recognize that God is Father. A childlike mentality is to see God as a loving Father, which means that we trust him. We're open to his direction. We may argue with him sometimes, but ultimately we recognize that he's right. We're obedient, all those things. So I'd encourage you to think through that. What does it mean that God is like a good parent? Not necessarily the parent that you had. Some of you had great parents, some of you didn't. But like God is like the perfect parent. That's a childlike mentality. I'm the child. God is the parent that I can trust. Then we get a story of something that happened that kind of illustrates this. I went through this with the men's lunch, not the most recent one, but the one before that. Get this story about a rich young man who's coming to Jesus. And Jesus says, "You lack one thing. Go sell all that you have and give it to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. And come and follow me." We think, for understandable reasons, that what the one man is lacking is giving everything to the poor, selling all his possessions. But I don't think that's it. Shortly before that, in this conversation, Jesus quotes part of the Ten Commandments. He rattles off 6 things, 5 of which are 5 of the Ten Commandments. The do not fraud, I think, is probably kind of repeating the don't bear false witness piece. 5 of the Ten Commandments he quotes. The first 4 of the Ten Commandments are about loving God. The second 6 are about loving people. Jesus quotes 5 of the 6 commandments about loving people. And he says, "Yeah, young man, you're doing great with those." But he says you're lacking one. He's not saying what you're lacking is selling all your stuff. He's saying you're lacking one of these 6. One of the ways that we are called to love other people, you're lacking one of those. Guess which one of the 6 Jesus doesn't quote? He doesn't quote not coveting your neighbor's stuff. He said, you need to grow. You still covet other people's stuff in your heart. So if you're lacking that, what should you do? Sell your stuff. That will be the antidote to that. I think what it leaves us thinking is, all right, if we explore the Ten Commandments, where are we lacking? And what very practically might God be calling us to do to grow in that area? It says the young man walks away grieving. Why is he sorrowful? Why is he sorrowful? We assume that he didn't follow Jesus. We actually don't know that. What we know is that it will cost him something. Either he will lose his possessions in order to follow Jesus, or he will keep his possessions but lose his chance to follow Jesus, to fully enter into, what did we talk about at the beginning? Like the presence of God now, the kingdom of God, to follow Jesus around and experience the fullness of God's presence in the moment, it's going to cost him something. Don't get so lost on the selling of the possessions thing that you miss what it might mean for you today. How is it that he is calling you into a deeper relationship with him, and what might that cost you? Which gets us back to the childlike faith piece. If you see God as that perfect parent, then he can be trusted. Ideally, my kids trust me that even if I tell them that it's going to cost them something, they have to lay this down in order for us to go and experience this, or they have to lay this down for their higher good, that they can trust that I, as their father, or Amy, as their mother, is trustworthy and has their best interest at heart. Jesus doesn't want the man to get rid of his stuff out of spite or anything like that. It's because he knows that it's ultimately what is best for him. Ultimately, what this man wants is that he wants that fullness of relationship with God. It's the coveting that's standing in the way. Jesus says, here's the antidote. We've got to trust God like that perfect parent who wants what's best for us and knows how to get us there. How is it that God is seeking to guide you like a loving parent? That was a lot in just a few minutes, but I hope it sticks. I hope something lands. God bless you, friends, and I'll see you on Monday. I got the next passage too. See you then.